What's up, everybody? Thralls here once again. I'm Necrotic Nick, and I have a bit of a bonus review for some reasons I'll go into because I kind of forgot about this one and I really shouldn't have. So today I am going to go over the latest offering from Church of Misery, Born Under a Mad Sign. Now, the reason why this is a bonus review is because I thought this got pushed back until next week, so I planned on covering it next week. And turns out it had been released on the 16th, but I guess here in the States, all the physical copies kind of got pushed back a bit due to shipping or whatever. Either way, I didn't see reviews for this come up until earlier last week. So I was like, oh man, is it actually out? So I looked it up and was like, holy shit, it's out. Oh my God, I need to go over this. So technically this came out on the 16th of June on Rise Above Records. This band formed in 1995 in Tokyo, Japan. This is their 6th album overall, and I am a giant fan of them. I have all of their full lengths, minus this one, which I definitely did order this. Suppose that's a bit of a spoiler alert that I liked it, but I don't know, maybe I didn't. Maybe I just got it because I got all the other ones. I've done that before. All right, I liked it. I've been a fan since their early albums. The Second Coming is the one that really stood out to me. I absolutely fucking love that album. And honestly, one of my biggest regrets of Maryland Death Fest 2019 was missing them live because all I heard about was how amazing they were. I forget who I went to see instead. It might have been Tomb Mold, which that was an amazing show, but I really wanted to see that band, and hopefully I get my chance because this is some of the best stoner doom out there. I was actually shocked that this band came from Japan. When I first heard them, it sounded like a band that crawled out of the murkiest swamp in Louisiana ever. Like, it was just pure filth. Even the vocals had like a southern tinge to them. Japan was completely off the fucking radar when I heard this band. But I was pretty much an instant fan. I love this band as much as this band loves talking about serial killers and some of the most horrible people in history, which is a huge theme for them. It is on all their albums. It is definitely on this one. And I'm not gonna go too far into the people that they talk about just because they are truly awful people and have done some absolutely fucking horrifying things. And some of them you will probably know because they're pretty damn famous for doing some horrible things. In fact, no shock, the scumbag that is on this album cover is absolutely fucking awful. I didn't know who he was, but I looked him up and was like, yeah, I really should not talk about that. But you get their whole vibe in this band's atmosphere. The opening track, Beltway Sniper, John Alad Muhammad, look him up. It's pretty explanatory what he did. But it opens up with the racking of a round in a rifle, gunshots, news excerpts, radio excerpts, people screaming. And then behind it, you get this slowly building riff, and then boom, we are into some of the heaviest, sludgiest riffs I have heard this year, backed by an absolutely snarling bass. The production on this album is just about fucking perfect for stoner doom. The guitars are so full and thick, but it's that bass tone behind it. It absolutely sizzles. It's so damn heavy, and the bass on here has a lot of fun. It's not just there to supply that backing drone. There are cool wah effects that show up. There's some phaser effects that show up on here. And the bass lines themselves, rather than just kind of doing the standard droning and playing behind the riff, there's some fun, like almost kind of lead play to them. But as the song sort of slowly crawls out of the murk and just kind of lumbers and just chugs along, you get to hear the raspy crooning of Kazuhiro Aseda. I think I might have said that right. I love this guy's vocals. Now, generally they're always in the back of the mix where the guitars and actually the entire band is kind of really out front because this was just loud as hell production. But I like where his vocals sit. They almost add to the creepy atmosphere with his kind of rambling croons and this sort of raspy layer. Occasionally you get some more kind of growls, and they're very layered in reverb. And as much as this band is about just flat out Sabbath worshipping riffs, the atmosphere in here is kind of the thing that really gels it together. There are a lot of bands out there that do this sort of style. You know, big droning Sabbathy riffs, like Monolord, of course. I mean, I'm fucking repping them right now. Spiritu comes to mind, even though they're kind of a more obscure band, but with the vocals and the guitars on here, it really reminded me a lot of that. And even to a degree, sludge metal, like, you know, that NOLA scene, like especially again with these very southern tinged vocals. Some of the stuff actually kind of reminded me of Acid Bath or Alabama Thunder Pussy, which I know they're not from Louisiana, but they have a very similar style and, again, very comparable. But when this band embraces their more doom side, again, the songs just lumber and crawl through. You get some cool dropouts to like some clean playing, especially on the last track, Butcher Baker, which is about Robert Hansen, which he was a new one for me. I had to look him up. Apparently he liked to hunt women. Fortunately, he died rotting in prison, which that's pretty excellent for the shit he did. But there's a section where everything kind of drops out in favor of some like kind of crackling atmosphere and some like very creepy samples, which might have been from this dude's trial. I don't know, they were kind of in the background, and I was more focused on the really cool spacey bluesy lick that was playing before it went headlong into this massive doom breakdown, which the breakdowns in here are just flat out crushing. Just droning riffs with cool little bluesy tags on the end. There's a lot of blues play on here, actually. The opening of Murder Castle Blues, which is H.H. Holmes, it's a pretty famous one. I don't know if I need to go into that one. It kind of explains it in the title a little bit. But the setup to that song is this, cool bass and drum groove. It's just kind of sludgy and dirty sounding, and then this blues melody kind of comes up. And honestly, the first thing I thought of was Clutch's self-titled Big News Part 1, except played at half speed. This band likes to play, well, kind of slow. Like, there's a good balance of, slower songs to more up-tempo songs, but this one is just a more flat-out, doomy, murky, creepy song with absolutely crunchy, devastating riffs. And again, when it comes down to the tone of the bass and the guitar in here, they kind of just blend together as this just massive sonic assault. And you can definitely feel that when they're at their most doom-laden. Most Evil, which is Fritz Harman. I had to look him up, and I kind of wish I hadn't because, well, he's the guy on the cover, and oh my god, just a horrible fucking person. Like, most people that rock that mustache are generally just kind of pieces of shit. And I suppose to get a name like the Butcher of Hanover or the Vampire of Hanover, you gotta do some absolutely horrible things. But this song has just an absolutely disgusting, broken down, Sabbathy riff. The heft of it is only like added to when they add in like more like slides and bends to the riff. It sounds more creepy and unsettling. And that is even added to with the more kind of groaned, kind of muffled vocals. You really can't even make out really what he's saying in some spots, which kind of just adds to the mystery. Like, I imagine it's probably about this piece of shit, but at the same time, it's that sort of like creepy atmosphere the vocals add to it. It sounds like the mutterings of a deranged person, and I mean, that's definitely kind of the vibe on here too. But with Stoner Doom, you get the stoner side, which honestly on here turns into these fun kind of bluesy jam sessions. The bridge on this song, with the lead on it, it kind of just gets like a little bit loose, a little bit funky, like the, sort of Sabbathy swing kind of comes out a bit. And the leads on here are fun. They are, again, very much rooted in Tony Iommi. They're just kind of heavy, bluesy, just kind of squawky leads. And while they are definitely familiar to anyone that's been listening to like doom metal and stoner metal for years, they add a lot of fun character and a kind of looseness. And when this album kind of loosens up and kind of gets more towards the stoner side, it gets a little bit more fun, which is kind of fucked up considering like the subject matter and shit they're talking about. But this album is like legit fun to listen to. Songs like Freeway, Madness, Boogie, which I imagine if I added another ridiculous sentence after that, it could be the title of like the next Rob Zombie album. That song is notably more up-tempo, a little bit more fast. It kind of has like a little bit of that sort of desert punk, desert stoner metal vibe that Caius put off. This one ramps up the energy a little bit because a lot of this is a little bit more slow. This one's notably, again, more energetic, and they have a lot of fun with the lead section, which turns into a guitar lead and bass lead sort of harmony. I love how the two kind of interlock and kind of play off of one another. It's honestly one of the most fun spots in the album. But the one that kind of loosens up the entire album is the song Spoiler, which has no serial killer or mass murderer or historical piece of shit associated with it. It's just called Spoiler. I was a little shocked by that. But it's predominantly an instrumental, and it throws in some Hammond organs. It's just sort of a jam session. They kind of play behind this like fun off-time little rhythm and just kind of add a little bit of a boogie to it. The Hammond organs sound fucking great in there. There seems to be more leads on there too. Like it's just sort of, again, like a loose jam session. It sounds like they're having a lot of fun. And that's kind of carried over to the next track too, Come and Get Me Sucker, which is about David Koresh, which I remember seeing a lot about him on the news when I was a kid, and like, wow, dude, cults are fucking scary. I was actually kind of surprised like there weren't people out there calling him the Waco Wacko, which would have been totally fitting. They even pepper in a nice little interview segment from one of his many deranged fucking interviews that he had. But this song is like really heavy, like there's a good stomping rhythm to it. It's up-tempo, but it's a little bit more aggressive. And I like the wah effects on the bass. It adds like sort of a cool fucking vibe to it. Again, kind of loose and fun, albeit about just, you know, psychopaths. This whole album, and it's almost 54 minutes long, flows so well. Honestly, this kind of blew right by, and my head really never stopped bobbing. Like, every song on here is just really well constructed and drawn out in a cool way, because a lot of these songs are pretty damn long. I think the shortest track on here is Spoiler, and it's still like over the 5.5 minute mark. Most Evil is like a 10-minute jam, and the last track, Butcher Baker, is like over 8 minutes, but they don't feel like it. The songs are well paced, there's good build up to the atmosphere, which the atmosphere again is a huge part of this band in terms of like engaging the audience with their creepy themes. But musically, these are very like methodically built, kind of slow building jams, and then they kind of loosen up and have fun on a bridge. Like, yeah, it's a little bit more extended, but they're doing a lot of just, you know, fun, creative stuff, like adding different effects, kind of taking a bass line for a walk, or just dropping out into an isolated section of, you know, probably guitars or bass or maybe drums or even vocals, and then building it back up. The songs become kind of a fun, twisted adventure, which honestly, the adventure with this band would probably end in a shallow fucking grave someplace, because that's kind of how they roll. The only thing I could possibly knock this on is, the worship of Black Sabbath is very transparent, but I don't care, because everyone should probably worship Black Sabbath. Like, that just seems like the thing to do if you like heavy music or just rock music in general. The album is paced well. You have a good break between like more doom-laden tracks to more like fun stoner jams too. Like, this is just a fucking fantastic album, and I would struggle to find anything that I don't like in here. I might be fanboying out here a little bit, but man, I just enjoyed the living shit out of this. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it 4.5 stars. Truth be told, I like all of their stuff, but this one just feels a little bit stronger, a little bit more focused. Like, everything just lines up on here. The riffs are great. The production is honestly some of their best. The vocals are creepy and, again, oddly very Southern United States, but that's their thing, and it works so well. There isn't a song I would skip on here, and again, I like that sort of balance between like the stoner doom, kind of not always just blended but separated, and it just keeps the album kind of, I don't know, a little unpredictable, even though you know you're gonna get like Sabbathy riffs on every fucking song. The riffs are grimier than hell, but man, is this just catchy, and again, fun to listen to, despite it being about some of the darkest shit they could possibly talk about, which is, you know, more serial killers. While musically this isn't much of a surprise, one of my main appeals for this band is still, you know, looking up the twisted individuals that they're talking about, and again, that's another level of interest with this band. This band is just flat out fun. It's awesome. If you love bands like Monolord, Telekinetic Yeti, Black Sabbath, and honestly a good chunk of like just sludge metal in general, like a lot of stuff out of the NOLA scene, and again, like bands like Alabama Thunder Pussy. This is just a fucking great album. I strongly recommend it. If you're a stoner doom fan, I can't think of anything on here you wouldn't like. So, if you enjoyed this review, give it a thumbs up, and if you are new to the channel, subscribe, because we do stuff like this all the time. We are also on Patreon. If you'd like to help us out there, there's a link down below to thrallsmetal.com. Our site is currently under construction right now, but once it's back up, I'm gonna still leave the link on there because you can still sign up for news, but our Patreon link is there, as well as our store. Once we get our new shirts, we will definitely let you guys know. We'll probably do a video and possibly a giveaway for that. But we also have our current giveaway going on for when we eventually hit 15,000 subscribers. All you have to do is comment on the video linked down below. It is also playing automatically on our channel. Once you comment, you are entered. And once we hit the mark, I will do a video announcing the winner after I do a little comment randomizer thing. And one of you lucky metalheads will get 11 kick-ass CDs, and we will have hit another fucking landmark, which is just fucking wild. I always run out of shit to say at this part, so I'm just gonna go back to the thank you well, because without you guys, we would not be here, and this would still be fun to do, but you guys bring a lot of fucking joy to this. I love looking in the comment section, even though I take long breaks from them, but I try to answer them in bulk. But yeah, this has been an amazing ride, and you guys are such a huge part of it. So once again, thank you all so much, and we will catch you later.